Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic episode of Keeping It Geekly. It's your Cape Crusader, Cody, and we're hanging out with our good friend, Fred Kennedy. We're here to break down the Florida Hippopotamus Cocaine Massacre, and the book is just as crazy as the name, I promise you. Fred, we were backstage talking about how this, sit-down's been, happening for years, right?
Yeah.
And just life finds a way, and it's just we finally just said, screw it, we're gonna make this happen. Fred, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm glad to be here. After all these years, we made it happen. We got it in the air. We're good to go.
And man, I'll tell you what, I remember, I was gonna get you on for Dead Romans, excuse me. There was a project, a Diablo project.
Yeah.
Mud 79, which is fucking phenomenal too. The production on that is phenomenal. I love it. We should do a sit down just covering that, because I love that as much as itself.
I did an interview 2 days ago, and they brought it up, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I'll totally talk about Mud 79 if you want to. It's
Dude,
my favorite creative project that I ever got to do, but it was so low key at the time. But it's my favorite thing that I've ever done. I'm still sitting on the final arc, and then I'm waiting until I always say I'm waiting until I'm a bit of a name, and then I'm gonna drop it, and it's gonna wrap the whole series up. It'll be good.
So what's that level for you?
I don't know, man. I figure if I'm doing something with Marvel or something, maybe, or DC.
Dude, Diablo is pretty huge though.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I'm doing a thing with Blizzard right now. Some work with Overwatch. I can't really get into anything outside of just saying it involves Overwatch. But that is a really cool team, and the editorial staff at Blizzard is fantastic. I've been working with one specific editor for years, Chloe. She's the best, and she's so supportive, and she's always sending me positive vibes, and I've always got time to work with Blizzard. It's the best crew to be working with, man. And I'm working with the new editor, Shannon, and she's rad too. And this is our first thing that we've ever been jiving on, so that's a really cool project that I can talk about in a month or two. I can't talk about it right now.
Hey, I'm telling you, young Fred probably would be ecstatic to be working with Blizzard. So where did this all begin for you? What made you dive into the creative scene?
I grew up reading a lot of comics, and then I sort of got out of comics because I was working in radio in small towns, and there was no comic shop or anything like that, and I was also broke. But then when I moved back to Winnipeg, and then eventually Edmonton, I found a shop, and it was, to be honest, man, it was Why the Last Man. I picked it up and I read that, and I liked it. I thought it was good. But in the back of Why the Last Man were the ads for 100 Bullets. And then I read 100 Bullets, and once I cracked the first 100 Bullets trade, I was gone. I was off to the races. I was fully back in, and was following writers that I'd never really read before, catching up on stuff that I'd missed before, and started doing these 24-hour comic book day challenges. But when I met Adam Gorham, that's when I started really writing on a more serious level, and we did a series together that was historical fantasy in the Northern Crusades. It was called Teuton. And working with Adam really upped my game as a writer, and that led to more small press stuff, which led to Dead Romans. And it was interesting because I'd been grinding away on Dead Romans, and then when it landed, all of a sudden it landed, and then a month later, Adam calls me and he's like, "Listen, I've got an opportunity to work on Diablo." And they asked me if there was a writer I'd want to work with, and I said I'd want to work with you. And I'm like, awesome. So it's nothing had even happened publicly, but then all of a sudden work started snowballing right away,
Always treat your artist good.
Yeah, Adam's one of my favorite humans in the world. I always say, "You're my best friend, right? You're my best friend." Yeah. Love that guy to death. Ride or die for Adam Gorham forever and ever. So really Adam made me believe that I was a good writer. He lied to me repeatedly to the point that I believed it. And if it wasn't for my friendship with him, I would not be here today. It's 100% accurate when I say that. And it was just like one thing sort of leads to another.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're just nice to people, like, it's amazing how much that helps you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like Adam is really good friends with Mike Walsh, and Mike Walsh is really good friends with Ed Brisson. And so you start networking with all these people. And these are the people that I hang out with outside of comics, like outside of work and stuff, you know, and you just start meeting everybody. And it was the Dead Romans, Jim Valentino, because Shadowline did Dead Romans, Shadowline and Image, and then they wanted us to go to San Diego, and they're like, if you're going, we want you to do a signing. So we did the signing in San Diego, and right next to the Image booth was Mad Cave, and Kurt Pierce had done Canceled with Mad Cave, so I knew about them. And I just went over and talked to Chris, the publisher there, and I sort of like introduced myself. And it's the classic thing, this is the classic move in comics, like when you're at a con and you're on the show floor and you go to a booth and you're like, hey man, do you guys anybody from editorial here? And you're like, oh, why? like what do you want to do? And like, oh, I got some ideas that I'm boiling right now. And then there's this moment where they're like, do you have any work? Like, who are you, nobody guy? Like, I'm doing this book with Image called Dead Romans. And as soon as I said that, Chris was like, oh my God, I love that book so much, man. Like, that's such a great book. So then we just started talking and building rapport with him.
God, that had to feel really good, right?
It did feel really good, because it was like years of the opposite of that. So
yeah, and just getting that validation had to be like, fuck yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Like,
it is a really good book.
Thank you. It's very, I think it is. I also think it is a good book. So like talking to him, and I told him this idea for the Hippo book, and then it just sort of like snowballed from there, man. And I'm a big fan of everybody at Mad Cave. Big shout out to James, my editor on Florida Hippopotamus Cocaine Massacre. The editor is James and the artist is James. So I always call him Editor James and Artist James. So there's two Jameses. It's a James.
I'm sure they love it. They're like, we got last names, you know, come on.
Yeah. So there's a big shout out to James, our editor, who's fantastic. And also Chris Simon, my editor on the Samurai Pizza Cats at Nakama Press. Jeez, aces as well. Yeah. I'm too positive, I think, is the issue with me.
You know, I think there's not enough of that, right? Life's and gets in the way, and it can be not very fun. And the only thing you can really do is just be positive about stuff. And I think what you were saying earlier is really hits it on the nose. Like, you know, just be nice. Don't be an ass. People, it's not a good personality to rock. I mean,
yeah. And so it's interesting because like Dead Romans is a quasi horror book. If you like take a look at the story. So Dead Romans, like the massacre in the Teutoburg forest, you've got these people that are being like hunted in a swamp and stormy weather and rain, and they're running through the swamp, and all they can hear is screams and lightning, and people are being like sacrificed, and they're like hiding in the mud, watching people get sacrificed, just being like, don't find me. And then it's so dark, but yet Nick and I are very jokey fellas on the show floor. So it's like, it's the exact opposite of the tone of the book, you know? Whereas I feel like with the Hippo book, it's much more in line with my sensibilities. But I forget who I heard saying the important thing as a writer is to do as many different genres as you can do, you know? So like the dark historical fiction, which is something I love. Like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore it. It was a very nice change of pace, shifting over to do something like the Florida Hippopotamus Cocaine Massacre, which was so different when we started it than what it is now, by the way.
I mean, I had the chance to read it. We were talking backstage. I want an opportunity to say it live. This book is fucking insane. The title is insane, and the just the way the story is portrayed, the way the interiors are done is like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a gender bent, like Ronald Reagan, like drug, enforcement era, like with on the nose, like just patriotism and just like how they wanted their model citizens to be, dude. It was insane. And like the way the designs of the character was like so like bombastic and flamboyant and like it, dude. Like if it was like if I could you 2 words to describe it would just be like fuck yeah.
Yeah. So because my family's military, so we grew up at Shape, the big base in Belgium, and so all the NATO countries are there, right? Like, and we've all got this big school system, like all the national sections are all together, and the only like real English channels you can watch are like the BBC, and that's only really you can only really get that depending on where you live because the signal's coming across the channel from the UK. But you can get AFN, which is the Armed Forces Network, which is like a military TV channel with no commercials. There's like the TV shows, so you get to watch TV shows. They're like 6 months delayed. So this is a different era. Like I feel like this is the 80s and 90s, guys. There's no internet. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You're watching TV on an antenna. And there's no
channel 13, right? Something like that.
Yeah, like all the commercials are like PSAs and recruitment ads for the Army. So there's like Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, you know, like be all that you can be, you know, like all that's all it is. And then it's a fact in the Library of Congress. And then these weird anti-drug commercials, man. And so that growing up, seeing that, because I didn't move to Canada until I was 12. So growing up and seeing all that all the time, like it was very easy for me to channel that, like that Reagan era, like mentality. I took the Dare Pledge.
Yeah.
You know, like all that stuff. So
sorry.
all that stuff is in there in the book. And so it's like, we call her Mandy Laser, but she's like Nancy Reagan. And the president will be in the book. It's just not right now. You will see them eventually, and it's pretty wild when it happens. But all that stuff, that 80s era, rah is in the book 100%. Because like the trailer we made, it was like it's 1980 something. You know what I mean? And like that stuff, and we channeled in like Miami Vice. Like that show is so cool, man. Miami Vice is so rad. I describe it as like Narcos Mexico meets Jurassic Park, but if it was done by the Abrams brothers, like the guys who did Naked Gun, you know, that's the way it all works together. Because I just watched, I was watching Narcos Mexico the last season, like with the guy, he's the cop, and he's not the best dude, but he's trying to make good on himself, like sort of have a redemption arc. And I forget that it's Luis, the actor who plays him is Luis something. And he's got this power stash, man. Like just this power, and he's always like with his perfect stash.
The dude who played Pablo had a fucking good stash too.
Oh yeah. He's great, man. He's doing awesome. Like, didn't he just win an Oscar or something?
I think, yeah, dude. Yeah. Best mustache.
Oh, it was dope. Like, but it's like it's strong. So he was like the embodiment of the character for Tico Senecoza, our badass super cop. You know what I mean? And then the initial version of the story had Clarke Nebraska, who is the DEA agent, was initially a dude. And so it was sort of hinging on like Miquel Senecoza is like Tequila from Hard Boiled. Like he's an unreal. Initially, there was a scene where he's playing jazz flute at a jazz bar. There was a scene in the original opening. He's just gotten a big case and he's like playing, and then he finds out about his brother and he's got to go rescue him. But we cut that scene out to make the opening more insane. And Clarke Nebraska's character was supposed to be like a corn-fed, like Johnny Utah, Clarke Nebraska. Like that's the correlation between
the name's fucking awesome too. I love names like that. It's just like so on the nose and just like.
But then when he was supposed to be, I channeled like Patrick Swayze on steroids was the original note, Patrick Swayze on steroids. And then when I started working on it with James, one of the first things he decided, he goes, because we need to have a female lead in an action role. He goes, but we were both very adamant that it was not going to wind up being like, she's by the book and he's a loose cannon and they got to make it work. Like, no, the idea was, let's almost compete to see who's shittier between the two of these characters. Like, who's worse out of these two? And so, but they're both terrible in some of the same ways. Like, and I think that one little change really got the ball rolling about everything we wanted the book to be. Because the Clarke, Nebraska character is one of the most ridiculous characters that I've ever gotten to work on. And I love her so much because of how stupid she is.
Dude, the other, I love those two characters, but the baddie is just as insane. Is it Discau?
M'jor Discau. So
fucking insane.
So the thing is, first of all, Disco is like based on former Toronto Mayor Rob Ford. So, and like Rob Ford was this like, outside, like people knew who Rob Ford was because he went on Jimmy Kimmel. He's the guy who, like, can I be a bit graphic here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, he's the guy, like, on a live national interview, accused another town councilor, like another city councilor, of saying that he wanted to eat her pussy on live TV. He said, she says that she wants me to eat her pussy, but I got enough to eat at home. That's what he says. He says this on, like,
what a fucking insane, like,
it was like, and I remember being like, what?
Campaign
like,
slogan, like, damn.
What? I've got enough to eat
at home. Yeah,
and this was like a week after there was a video going around of him hammered in a West Indian restaurant doing a patois accent eating jerk chicken. Like,
Jesus Christ.
And then there was the video before that of him straight up smoking crack in a driveway, dude. It was the most surreal time. And so artist James, had a book that he was selling at the show at like cons that was just 30 sketches of Rob Ford. That was the whole book. It was just sketches of Rob Ford. And it's so great. I bought a copy 100%. And it was like the classic, like ash can hand job, print job. Like, James is a phenomenal artist. And so he made M'jor Discau like that. And one thing that we wanted to do in the book is people keep mispronouncing everybody's names. Like, constantly throughout the book, nobody's calling each other. Well, they get their name right sometimes. Yeah. But they're constantly saying people's names wrong, which we think is funny because that's real life. Like, Clarke, Nebraska, like, there's multiple occasions where he calls her Nabisco. Like, he just can't get her name right. And then sometimes they call him, because it's M'jor Discau. But sometimes they call him more Disco. Sometimes they just call him Disco. Sometimes they call him Mr. Discau. Like, they're constantly saying the names wrong. So to us, that's funny because that's real life. Because
dude, his character design is just insane too. He's on like electric scooter, and they hold him. I remember at one part in the story, he's like, that was too much exercise for me. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Get me a parasol. Like, we had so many jokes about, like, get me a parasol. I'm thirsty. Somebody get me some cheese. Like, all of these different things. Like, the hardest part...
the people in the crowd talking about communism. The other one's like, I can't wait for these pills to kick in. Like,
yeah. Like, it's insane. Yeah, but it was very fun. It was a really enjoyable creative process because we wrote it. We didn't have a script. We would write a beat sheet. Like, we did it the old school Marvel way, like where there was a beat sheet and then James would thumb it. And then I would go in after. I literally would print off his thumbs. And so I lined it up so that it was like odd, even, so that when I would turn the pages, I could get the turns so that the jokes would translate as you're turning. So the original versions of the pages were like photocopies with everything written by hand, and then I would type that out, and then I would send it to him, so he could see where everything was on the page, and then he could see where I was trying to lead the eye,
Mhm.
and then we did it all together. And we used to we would argue about jokes because I wanted it to be sillier, and James wanted it to be more grindhouse, and so I think us beating our heads together is what makes it as strong as it is.
Yeah.
And I really feel like art can be almost like a diamond. If you get a bit of pressure on there, you can really make it shine, you know? And I think that there were times where we kind of get snippy with each other, but there was never ever a doubt between either of us that the reason that there's any snippage is because both of us just want it to be really good, you know? And I think that that is what made us a good, strong, creative team, is that desire to just do something good, man. You know?
Yeah, and you know, I think it really speaks volumes because the interiors of this are insane and gorgeous, and I really love the narration. You know, it starts out as like an anti-drug campaign, and it's like essentially we're watching the story through a VCR.
Yeah, and that's
which
going to continue through the whole
I thought
story.
that was fucking great. I thought that was a great. So how do the hippopotamuses fit into this? I mean, was that always a plot point for you when you first
from the get-go
started?
The original version. So going back to Adam Gorham, like, it started as a text conversation with Adam. That's where the story, the initial spark to do it, came from. And then it was always hippos. There was always going to be hippos that were high on cocaine. that was always what was going to happen. But then people like Cocaine Bear, and it's like, no, not like Cocaine Bear. Very different. But the original like, we had it all written and pitched and accepted before the Cocaine Bear movie was even dropping trailers. Mm-hmm. Like, we were just like getting everything ready to go. The initial version was that there was a big party at Disco's mansion, and his mansion was sort of like this huge compound with it was like a James Bond supervillain compound, you know?
He's like the Penguin, but with hippos.
Yeah, sort of like that. And then, like, you know, on Righteous Gemstones, they have like the abandoned amusement park, like on their property. It was like that was the idea. There was all of these things that were happening, and Disco is having a party with the who's who of the drug trafficking community. And we had these ideas for these over-the-top zany drug dealer type archetype characters that were all going to be there. And there's a huge bust that is happening at this place. And you've got Clarke, Nebraska, and you've got Miquel Senecoza having to do this mission together, even though they don't like each other. And the only reason Miquel Senecoza gets involved is because his girlfriend, who is a waitress at the jazz bar that he hangs out at, where he was playing jazz flute, which is also like it's like a Chuck E. Cheese jazz bar with robots, was the gist of it. It was interplanetary jazz or sci-fi jazz. I forget what robo jazz or something. I forget what I called it. But his girlfriend, on again, off again girlfriend, he sees her going into the party as like hired help as a bartender at the party, and that's what gets him involved in the case. But we threw that all out. We got rid of all that stuff because there was it lent itself to comedy better if it was an amusement park, because we wanted there to be so much on the table at all times that we didn't want anyone to know where the next scene was going to happen, you know, like, and that I think we've done a very good job at.
Yeah, no, it was insane. I did not know what to expect with every page turn, honestly. Real quick, we got your good friend Tipsy over on Twitch joining us, and then Mark Skiles subscribing for 62 months in a row. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Here is a link to check out what we're talking about. We're actually going to pull this up because I want to see these interiors. I think, you know, once you kind of see the beauty of these interiors, you guys will see exactly what we're talking about. So give me a second to pull this.
Fellow? Look at that guy.
Who's that dashing, handsome young gentleman? So, I mean, these covers are absolutely gorgeous. Where did you come up with the name? It is so good.
It's James. James, I full credit to James, artist James. The initial title was Coked Up Hippos. That was the holding title when we pitched it. And he was like, no. He goes, Coked Up Hippos is too vague. He goes, you want, as soon as somebody says the name of the book, the name itself has to be as ridiculous as the tone. He goes, Coked Up Hippos could be a horror story. He goes, the Florida hippopotamus cocaine master is ridiculous. And I was like, you're right. So we switched it. And the thing is like I said, being nice, like being a good collaborator is a huge thing, you know? So like changing the name, and then we decided like the full title for the book is technically The Laser Drug Force in the Florida Hippopotamus Cocaine Massacre. But it's just the FHCM is sort of like the standing move that we tend to go with in the chats. But yeah, like the idea that this whole story is an anti-drug PSA being shown to kids in a high school class is pretty dope. Like, no pun intended. Yeah.
And I mean, dude, there were so many classic throwbacks. Like this TV right here is just absolutely gorgeous. I love that it's at a Wonderland, and like these little icons, like you guys nailed so much of the amusement park, like feelings and vibes, and like how like they're all dressed in hippopotamus hats and everything. Like, dude, it was awesome.
So that's B. Okay, that character, her doing the announcements, that's B. She will become a big character as the story goes on. Yeah. That's what we changed some stuff to. But I'm not going to spoil anything. She's got some of my favorite jokes in the whole story, actually.
Yeah, and like right here, just like the crowd. And this had to be such a pain in the ass for your artist, right? There's so many faces.
I didn't ask him to do that. I want to make clear that I did not ask him to do this. But he says that he was just drawing people that he knows. And so he was drawing all these faces and all that stuff like on the side while working at other stuff. I think the faces were like a warm-up process for him. But yeah, I did not say draw a bazillion faces. But then when he drew them and gave me the pages, I was like, oh, I got all kinds of jokes I can throw in there. And the hardest part was getting the bubbles in without covering good faces. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, oh man, he killed it. Like, I'm always super like, I get emotional with him sometimes. So I get emotional about how good of a job he did. Yeah. Man. And I love that. Like, it's so ridiculous with the goons, his goon squad. And
my God. Yes, dude. Yeah. It was just so over the top in all the right ways. I really, really loved the lettering in this too.
Yeah. He lettered by hand. So he did it. He put the letters in, and you know, like it's when we were putting the dialogue on the pages, I had to really be careful about taking a look at the real estate I had to put the amount of dialogue that I wanted to put in there. But we also were very adamant that we didn't want empty pages.
Yeah.
Because it can be really frustrating when you've got people that are paying like $5 for a book, and then it's just like they flip through it too quick. And I get that, like, that there's different schools of thought on that. You know, I can understand and appreciate that. But if you're spending your money on, you want something that you're going to have to chew on for a bit. And also with comedy and writing jokes, it's a very fine line, and the jokes have to really match the art, and the art has to match the jokes. And you can't lean too much on one or the other. And I think that Eric Powell is really like the master of it. I'm a huge fan of The Goon. And that was a very big, The Goon was a huge influence. And also God Hates Astronauts, anything Ryan Brown has done. I love Ryan Brown too. I don't know if you've ever read Blast Furnace before, but he did a book where he basically, with his warm-up drawings, wrote a book with his warm-up art over the course of like a year, and then put the warm-up drawings together in a book called Blast Furnace, which is about a super cop who has a tie that's on fire and he fights crime. and it is insane. And
I love books like that.
It is one of my favorite books ever. And I've bought like multiple versions of it because initially it was just an ash can, and then he did like a proper printed version, and then he did a new printed version, then he did a full color version. I've got all of them. Like I've bought that book so many times because I love it so much, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's so good.
So why hippos? I mean, I loved everything about this. I at one point you have the crowd talking about like the hippo fecal matter and like hippo shit in such a crazy way. I don't know if you guys ever seen a video.
They switch their tails around, man.
Dude, it's like a helicopter and it goes every. Dude, it is wild.
So I was at a zoo, the Antwerp Zoo in Belgium when I was a kid, and the hippo did that. A piece of poop like hit the kid next to me, like his feet, like went right past and hit the kid. Like, and I remember watching it go by, like, and a hippo poop just hit them. It was great because they spin their tail around, right? It's insane. The story was there was like, so Pablo Escobar had his hippos, and then when they raided his compound, they let the hippos go because what are you going to do with the hippos? So let them go. So now there's all these hippos. There's hundreds of these hippos in the river systems of Colombia, and they've got no natural predators. There's no dry season. It's just always perfect for these guys to hang out and make more baby hippos. And so there's hundreds of them. And so this initial story was we were reading about how you have to go, they have to send in these hunters to go and cull the hippos because there's just too many of them. They're out of control. And so I was joking with Adam about, you know what you could do? You could write, like they're doing all these board game adaptations into movies. You could do a horror movie based on hungry hippos, where these hunters that have been sent in to fight these hippos end up fighting these super coked up crazy hippos. And so that was the text versation. That's sort of like how it all started. And then I went on my own and was like throwing ideas around. And I was watching Narcos at the time, Narcos Mexico. I love Diego Luna. He's so great. But like I was watching that at the time, and then I was working with James. I wanted to work with James on something because I always loved his art. And the thing about James is he's really fast. He's fast and he takes it very seriously. Like it's a very silly book that he has taken very seriously. You know what I mean?
Oh, you can tell just by the design of the theme park.
Yeah. So this became an issue like in October. Everything's lined up. We're ready to go. And he went to our editor James, and asked if he could have an opportunity to redo his backgrounds. He wanted to redo the backgrounds because he wasn't satisfied with how they looked. And I remember James messaging me, that's never happened. Like that's never happened before. So many guys will throw stuff away because he is that committed to making sure it's perfect. So I knew I wanted to work with him on something, and we were talking about a caveman story. And it was sort of like this, like cavemen being hunted. It was the idea of when Neanderthals and Homo sapiens first encountered each other, and Homo sapiens were like hunting the Neanderthals, and we wanted to do this comic with no dialogue, and we had ideas for what we wanted to do. And I really liked where James is going with things, and it was coming along really good. And I just brought this idea up, and me just bringing it up, it was within like 20 minutes, we'd completely forgotten about the caveman story. We were just firmly invested in the hippos. And it was like, and I think that's like a really good thing. Like that was a sign of a really good natural progression about us wanting to work on the story together.
So, real quick, we have our good friend Mars over on Twitch saying, now that's a story I think about the hippo pooping. And can you imagine if that was the Escobar's thinking, though, if I ever get raided with the hippos will throw off the cops so much that they will attack them? I mean,
allegedly he fed guys to the hippos. Like the hippos I don't think they ate the people, but they just ripped them apart. What people don't realize is the hippo is like the most dangerous animal in Africa.
They're fucking scary. They move fast too. They look like they're...
Yeah, and they're really aggressive, like really, really aggressive. The second issue, this isn't a spoiler because like we sort of bookend the story with like Mandy Laser introing and extroing. And so then she intros the second issue breaking down the reality of what a hippo is like, and they're terrible, man. They're like horrible animals. And she breaks it all down, and then the whole thing is her breaking it down, explaining why they're the perfect metaphor for a communist.
Dude, and the insanity of the narration interiors. I mean, the design of Miguel, it felt like Bollywood meets like Vice City. I don't, it was so insane. Like the hair is like he, combs it back. He's just insane in the middle of gunfire. Dude, it's gorgeous, dude.
He is so cool. He's the coolest guy ever. Like, that's what we wanted, was like a super cool, like. So did you ever watch Mike Hammer? Have you ever heard of Mike Hammer?
I think so.
It was like this garbage like cop show that he's not a cop, he's a private detective. And I don't know if you watched, so Bill Burr did his animated series F is for Family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it always talks about how the dad is watching a show called Colt Luger. Sometimes a man's gotta do what a man does. Like and he's like this like overweight guy, and he's like and he does these like fight scenes against stunt guys, and it's just like he's smoking darts and he's drinking and he drives a fancy car. Like, Colt Luger is Mike Hammer. Mike Hammer was this TV show with Stacy Keach where he drove around in this white Porsche, and he was like, like super hard as nails, has a shot of scotch getting out of bed. He wakes up and there's a dart half like already in his mouth as he's brushing his teeth. Like, he's that. And so when we were doing like Miguel, I wanted it to be like Don Johnson meets Mike Hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's just the suavest, coolest dude ever, just like perfect mustache, just the perfect dude. And he's just so cool. Like, he is the worst, but he's so cool, and he has such great hair. So it's all right.
So I mean, we have such an awesome cast of characters. How many issues do you see this series being? I know this is a first. You mentioned a second one. Are we going to see a mini series, or is this going to be like an ongoing?
Issues. The first arc is 4, but I was just talking with James like earlier tonight. We have like 7 arcs planned out, mapped out, ready to go, drop anytime. Like, we've had this idea for we want them to be like a wacky group of crime fighters that bust up crime rings constantly. And the 80s and 90s, especially VHS, direct to VHS movies, are a absolute gold mine. And we want to capitalize on those big themes that were prevalent on a lot of a very special episode of, there's like 1980s things. So we want to do like a Satanic Panic one, then like a ninja episode, then we want to put them in space, then we want to have them dealing with like undercover to high school stuff. We got all these ideas of things that we want to do with them, and they're all like, and the thing that's funny, and we feel like we know we've got something good, because every time we start working on something, we're like we start giggling like idiots. Like the text, dude, you should see the text chain. We have like a Google Doc that is like 20 or 30 pages of just ideas and plot points and things that we want to put together. The ninja one is, if we do one, the ninja one's the next one. Like, we've kind of all but confirmed that the ninja one is the next one. And there's another, this isn't a spoiler, but like, I'll give you the scoop. Let's get it. So in the Satanic Panic one, we do kind of want to involve hair metal.
Okay, I love that so
and
much.
the whole idea came from a time when Vince Neil hugged me. So
okay, that's a good trivia fact.
I'll break this down. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. Vince Neil hugged me, okay? and I was working this event for the radio station that I worked at in Edmonton, and it was after. Remember they did that big tour in like 2006, 2007. So they're big again. It's Motley Crue's back. It's the biggest deal ever. It's so crazy. And so the bar that I worked at was gonna host the after party, the Motley Crue after party, and Vince Neil's gonna be there, man. It's gonna be crazy. What that means is Vince Neil's not hanging out with people and partying with people. Vince Neil is gonna roll in. He's going to have a sectioned off area upstairs. He's going to have his people go around and look for the hottest girls in there and let them come up and party with him for free. And then he's going to go to the microphone and say one or two things. He's going to co-host the wet t-shirt contest or whatever. And so he comes down and is talking to people. And I'm the expediter at the bar. So I'm holding the microphone. Oh, Vince Neil, it's so crazy. Here he is. And I give Vince Neil the microphone. Vince Neil talks. And then I'm asking for the microphone back because I got work to do. I'm on the clock. This is a job for me. And then he's like, and I'm like, oh, here we go. So he comes and he hugs me. And you know, like how a salamander is wet and damp and also
I was just
cold?
about to ask if it was a wet hug.
It was like hugging a large, giant salamander that smelled like it lived in an ashtray. Like, and it was just hugging me, and then it just like held on. And I'm quite confident he sort of fell asleep for a second and then came to and walked away. And it like I smelled bad the rest of the night. It was horrible. So that experience will be involved in the story. Don't worry. Yeah.
I love that. That's just as chaotic as this book. So I mean, we're looking at least 4 issues, but it could be more.
Who knows?
Yeah,
could be an ongoing. Could be a
TV
series.
We gonna see other nods to well-known drug lords, or was the Pablo?
No, we're not gonna There's no real nods to any actual drug lords that are in the book, like ever. We're very keen to make it like super crazy and goofy, because the thing is sometimes if you lean too much on, you can sort of take a nugget from these things, but they're silly and fun. And if you start really pulling and leaning on that stuff, you're talking about guys that did bad things, and I sometimes I don't think that that's super appropriate to do for the type of comedy that we want to do. We want to do pure silly. Like, we just want to make a silly, funny book that people can read and laugh at. The only people that have any business getting mad about what we're doing are the people from Luxembourg. That's it. Because there's a lot of jokes about Luxembourg in here. And I love Luxembourg. It's a wonderful country. It's situated right in between Germany, Holland, Belgium, and France. It's just right in there. It's a wonderful little place. It's like a triangle almost. It's great.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a good comparison for this. And, you know, I don't know if you played or anyone watching Far Cry 3, they had a DLC called Blood Dragon. And I just remember playing it and how badass that DLC and how fucking just insane and awesome. And, like, I think that's a really good comparison to how this book made me feel.
I love Blood Dragon, man. I love Blood Dragon. I love it. And I also absolutely love the soundtrack.
Yeah, insane, dude. The reload when he's like fucking like...
Yeah, oh, dude. Like, that's a great soundtrack to write to. And I'm telling you that I have done a lot of writing about this book to that soundtrack. So that is a banger grab, man.
So, Fred, I know this is your first time on the show, but I always love ending with a little bit of advice for anyone out there just starting, and then what you're up to outside of creating. So for the aspiring writer out there looking to just get their foot in the door, you know, you mentioned you were doing like a script a day, or a comic a day. What would be your biggest piece of advice that just helped them get that started? You know, just get that foot in the door, just to get something written up.
Write ash cans, like the anthologies, like ask friends about doing anthology books. 100%, that's the way to go. And if you don't have any friends that want to do an anthology, do your own anthology. What I'm getting at is like a great movie is Heavy Metal, the animated movie Heavy Metal, and it's a great example of an anthology because there's this through point of the little orb, right? And in each of the story, the orb is very different. So that type of story where there is a common thread and you've got like 5 or 6 little shorts, and they can be like 4 pages, they can be like 6, they can be 8. Right. And also, and I think that this is even more important, this precedes that, is I wrote so much stuff that I thought you needed to write to be a writer, if that makes any sense. Like, I tried to write a cool, introspective story that was a metaphor about this. Write something you'd want to read, man.
Yeah.
Like, write something that you think is cool. Like, write about what you're interested in. I did not expect Dead Romans to land because I loved it too much. It was my last throw. Like, this was it. And if it didn't work, I was done. Because, like, I love writing about Rome, but does anyone want to read my book about Rome? And it landed. So write what you love, and that love and that passion will 100% transcend. And if you go to a show and a creator gives you advice or feedback, listen to it. Don't be a dick. Like, don't. And I've seen guys get a portfolio review from people, and I've seen them be kind of dicks about like the feedback that they're getting. Well, you're just not getting what I'm telling you. It's like, yeah, you're right. Mike Del Mundo doesn't know what he's talking about. You're right. You're smarter than you're better than him. You know better than him. Tell Mike Del Mundo what he should be doing professionally. That's a smart move. That's good.
And the fact he doesn't get it, it's evidence, right? It's probably why.
And it's like, that's a legitimate story that I saw happen. Like, legitimately saw that happen. And I was just like, do you know who you're talking to right now? Like, well, anyways, yeah, that's it. Just, I gave you like 3 things, so one of those has got to be the right one.
Yeah, you got to take it or leave it. And I think it's outstanding advice, right? You got to do what you love. You don't want to suffer trying to do something that you think others might love, because then you don't have passion. And it was probably the passion that got Dead Romans where it got, right? It was the love that went into it. Because people could tell passion. People can tell when you're passionate about something and when you're not. People can tell when you're just showing up just to show up, and when you're showing up because you love it.
Absolutely. Totally can.
So what are you up to outside of creating? You know, what TV shows are you watching? What books are you reading? What games are you gaming on if you play?
Dude, I'm super back into Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, it's such a sad, tragic story, dude.
Oh, it's like the best. It's the best. I always consider, like, it's just Red Dead Redemption. It's one story all the way through. And I got a theory. This is my theory that I'll throw out for any Red Dead Redemption fans. I think that Jack is Dutch's son, not John's. That's my little theory. And if you watch the ending of the first one again, take a close look at how Jack looks. That's my theory. And there's the line where Dutch says in Red Dead 1, where he says that because John's trying to get his wife back in Red Dead 1, he's like, she was a prostitute and we all had her, but he married her. And I guess that makes her a better man than me. And that's the line that he throws away. And in the story, John had run away because he didn't know if the son was his. Remember? All these little pieces of subtext are in there, you know? And I really am loving it again. The dialogue is perfect. And I also really like it because I can just ride around on my horse and have little horsey adventures. And I like that.
I always, dude, and I'm such a sucker for like a lived in world. Like, there's so much going on around you, and it feels so real. Like, when they're working on the railroad, and sure enough, it'll reset after a while, but it just feels so real. Like, you watch them hammer in the spikes and then move on to the next one.
Yeah.
And then the progression of that follows throughout the story.
Yep. And you watch people have arguments in town, and they're walking around. Like, you could just hang out to Saint Denis and watch people do stuff. It's Red Dead Redemption 2 is like just, absolute bangarang. My kids are super into Dragon Warrior right now, so Dragon Quest is Dragon Quest now, I guess. But I like watching them play that, and I like walk down and like, oh, who's this guy? Is this like Wiener Magoo? And no, Dad, it's not Wiener Magoo. Like, they get all like mad about it, but I love busting their chops about the games that they're playing too.
Yeah, we me and my daughter, we've been getting down on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splinter's Fate.
Oh,
Banger of a game.
banger.
Of a game.
Absolute banger of a game.
And it's like one of those things, right? Like your kids get older, they they don't want to be around dad anymore. And I just love the fact that like I can be like, hey, let's game a little bit. And she's like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, one thing I've been doing also lately is the Ninja Turtles role-playing game from Palladium Games just got like its big re-release and was just all shipped out. And so we've been playing like the Ninja Turtles role-playing game, which is like Dungeons and Dragons, but I like the Palladium rules just a little bit better because of their combat system that they use. And because Palladium Games all have a universal combat system, their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle characters are about to get sucked through a wormhole into a fantasy setting.
That's
Palladium
so cool.
fantasy role-playing game. So they're gonna have Ninja Turtles fighting knights and elves and dragons. It's gonna be dope.
And I fucking I
Coming,
love
by the way. They don't know that's coming, but that's coming next weekend.
I love they did like a Naruto crossover with them, which I thought was awesome. We have our good friend Mars saying I haven't played Dragon Quest in years. I want to pick it up. It looks awesome.
Dude, the remakes are really they're really slick, man.
No, that is awesome. So Fred, this has been an awesome chat. I need to get you on for so much other stuff, especially Mud 79. We need to make that happen. Because if you guys have not listened to Mud 79, you should. It is fucking phenomenal, and the production that goes into it is I love it, man.
There's like it's like funny because like it's like a who's who of comic book royalty in that show, and they're all just doing like quick throwaway voices. Like Heather Antos kills it. Like she's amazing in it. Every time I see her, I'm like, dude, you're so good. And she plays one of the worst characters in it, but she nails it. Like it's really good. She's one of the like the Death Troopers. She's really good. You'll like her. She's good. Yeah.
It's so awesome. So guys, everyone that is watching, here is a link to pre-order this book. When's it dropping?
It comes out. The FOC is on Monday of next week on the 26th, and the actual issues are in store on the 18th of February.
So be sure to get your pre-order and add it to your pull list. Right there is a link. There'll be a link in the description if you're watching this video after our live stream. That being said, it is time for us to wrap up. I hope you all have a lovely Tuesday, but most importantly, keep it geekly.
Oh, I will.
All right.